Hello, my name is Peter Raymer, and today we're going to talk about how to send D365 emails. I've recorded a couple videos already on how to use email templates, how to configure your email server, as well as how to send out emails when certain events happen. But perhaps you want to write your own X++ code to send your own custom email. I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's jump in and we'll kind of cover the various options of what you can do. But first and foremost, you do need to go to email parameters, which is found at System Administration, Setup, Email Parameters. Then set up your SMTP settings so that you can actually send emails outside of Dynamics. I've recorded another video that kind of walks you through those steps, so go look for that and then make sure that you can send a test email. All right, even if you don't do that, you can still write this code and learn how to do it. So let's jump in. I've created this runnable job called tutorial send email message that is the most basic way that you can send an email in Dynamics. It just takes the raw text or HTML code and sends the email. So let's look at how you do that. First of all, we can create or set a variable equal to the email address we want to send it to. So in this case, I wrote in test@gmail.com. You would replace this with your own email address or a customer email address, and most likely, right, you would read this from a form or a table. Then you can send the sender email name as well as the sender email address. I've just left this to my user's email address. This part's more important in production, less important right here in a development environment. Then you can set the email subject to something. So in this case, hello world, just for fun. And then you can set up an email body. So one trick with setting your email body is you can use this @ sign so that you can put text on multiple lines of the code. Within this code editor, you don't have to do string concatenation by using this @ symbol. And then also by using a single quote, you can include double quotes inside of here. So your CSS or your styles on your HTML tags might use double quotes. So using a single quote around this makes this all easy for you to copy and paste. And so one word about that is if you can put just a straight message in here, whatever you want to type, it just won't be formatted super nicely, and most likely you're going to want to write some nice HTML, have some better formatting text so you can kind of see what this is. But one helpful tool is you can actually go to any HTML editor, including the one at W3 Schools HTML, and then just if you scroll down, there's this kind of learning page where you can just click try it yourself and then paste in your own HTML. So I'll paste what I already have and click run, and here you go. This is what you've got. You can then just make a change to whatever you need and then make that, click the run button again, and you'll see that change over here. So this is a really great way to make sure that you've got the right HTML format as you're crafting this email. All right, so we've got our email body, our to, our from, our subject. Now it's pretty simple. So all we need to do is instantiate this class SysMailerMessageBuilder, and then we can actually just call multiple methods on it all at once. You can break this out into multiple lines of code if you want, but essentially we're going to say the to email address is this one right here. It's just our variable that we set up top. The subject is this email subject that we've already set, and then the email body can be just plain text, or if we want it formatted, we can make it an HTML email with that formatting. You can add CSS as well. It just needs to be on this text. If you want to include images, they just need to be hosted on a public URL where it can pull that image down. Once we've got the message builder set, we can set the from address, both the email address and name. so we know who it's sent from. And then finally, all we really need to do is call send interactive to send the email, and we just get the message out of the message builder by calling get message. So in the end, this is just going to return kind of that string that we need in the proper format. Then send interactive is going to send that email for us. There's actually two different ways that we can send an email. We can call send interactive, which is going to pop up and kind of like a form, kind of like an email client within Dynamics, where you can actually edit and change that email, and I can show you that in a second. Or we can call send non-interactive, and it will just send the email based on the information we've sent already. And then I've got an info statement just so that I see that it ran. So I'm going to click start on this just so I can show you what it looks like when we're sending an interactive email. This can be really helpful when you have like a starting point for an email that you want, but you want the user to be able to maybe add some custom messages. Maybe it's a customer service interaction. You can have that email sent and built directly within Dynamics. So in this case, I'm running it as a runnable job. You could put this code in your own button or form that basically prepares this email and sets it up for you. Okay, my runnable job has run. It's gotten to the line of code where it's sending this interactively, and as you can see, it has opened Dynamics and opened this dialog where I can see the from email address that I've put, the subject that I put, the to email address, and then the HTML formatted text that I put in here. I bet if I click source, I can see that source HTML code. You can even add attachments if we wanted to do that. And then finally, we can click send on this to send the email. I won't do it because I don't want it sending to test@gmail.com. But I'll go ahead and hit cancel, and I'll hit stop on this. So this is the code that you can use to send a very basic message. But there is some better ways, and so I want to comment on those too. So basically, you have three options when sending an email. You can send just a message that you craft yourself. You can write X++ code to use an email template that helps build this email template and supplement it with dynamic data. Or you can have an event email that basically combines an event with a email template and combines that context specific information to send out this email. But let me show you if we use a email template. Before we use an email template, I really need to have an email template created. So if I were to go back to Dynamics, I can go to organization email templates, this form. Unfortunately, this form seems to be a little bit broken where it's not showing me all of the organization email templates. You can go into the email notification, create like a new record, then select your email template and then drill in. So I created one called send email. And then even if I'm not using it in the order created sense, I should be able to click on this blue text once the record saves, and then I can really see my email template. So you can create your own email template just like this, and then and I've got a video that walks you through that. Then click the email message, and it will show you a preview of what we're sending here. So we've got some placeholders, and this is really the power of the email template, is a end user can change the formatting and text within this email template by uploading a new HTML file, but then these placeholders can get replaced with dynamic data. Now you could craft your own HTML string and use string format to replace this yourself in X++, but it's kind of nice to give a non-developer some control of where these variables are and how that works. In the end, behind the scenes, that is what the system's doing for you, is doing a find and replace on these placeholders. I'll go back to the code and show you some of the differences on how we use this particular email template. So I'm going to specify that the email template I want to use is called send email. And actually, I created this code for you to create that email template so you could follow along at home. So look in the article, run this once. This will set up that email template. Essentially, it's creating a record in SysMailerMessage table as well as a record in SysEmail table. That gets that email template set up. All right, now that we have the email template set up, we can actually send the email similar to how we did it before, but leveraging that email template functionality. So we're going to specify what is our email template name. Again, this would normally come from our parameter, but I've got it hard-coded here in this runnable job. So it's just called send email. I've got a language for US as well as a to email address. But then this is where the email template really kind of comes in, is we can specify what are the placeholders that are included in our email template. So you saw we had %customer name %, and we had %item ID %. You can kind of create whatever placeholders you want in this scenario, and you define them in your code. Then you create a map that's just a string, a name, and a value. And then you can insert values into those, or name value pairs into that map. So here the customer name is John Smith and the item ID is 1000. Now this is helpful because you can do this through code and essentially replace the value with some value from a record or whatever might be passed into a class method you've got here. All right, once we've got it into the map, we can call this get email template. What it's going to do is it's going to call this method, which will basically just read the SysMailerMessage table and SysEmail table so that we get all those details, what the HTML data is, who's it's being sent from, what's the subject, etc. That's really all it's doing when we call this. Once we have the email body, then we're going to do a few different things. We're still going to create that SysMailerMessage builder, but before we pass in the body, the subject, and the to, and send the email, we're going to call these kind of special methods that help do that find and replace of the placeholders for us. So essentially I've got this variable email subject with placeholders replace, and what you call is string expand, and then you pass it the email subject, and then you pass it this HTML and code parameters, and you give it that map. And what this is going to do is take all the values in the map, look for anything in this text that it can replace, do that replacement, and spit back out the new corrected text. And what's cool is we can do that on both the subject as well as the email. So here you can see, well, I guess I didn't do it right here. I have the email subject set to set to deal on item %item ID. So even in the subject, I can do that find and replacement if I use this string expand. Then I do the string expand again on the body, and so that's going to handle that customer name as well as the item ID that's in the body. So finally, now I've got two pieces of text that are updated with that dynamic data. I'm adding it to my message builder, and then finally I can do send interactive again if I want, or I can do send non-interactive and just have it sent out. And in the end, right, it's going to send out an email that looks like this, right? So we get a little bit more formatting in that email template. It makes it a little easier, but then it's swapping out the item ID here in the body, as well as the subject, as well as the customer name in that email. So pretty nice to be able to do that. Again, using email templates in the event emails is really useful, and I'd recommend that. And so that's really our third option. Is there is lots of functionality within the system itself for anytime there's a certain event that happens, order creation, confirm, packing, a whole bunch of other ones. You can associate those with an email ID, and the system naturally will insert a staging record into the system. It will take the relevant data, combine it with that email template, and send out an email. So just to kind of give you an example of what that would look like in this class, retail event notification action, it's basically calling insert retail OEN action. It's passing in the type of action that has occurred. In this case, a picking list has been complete. It's passing in the relevant order information, which is usually a rec ID and a sales table record, so it figures that out, and then it can use that to kind of send out an email. So in this third scenario, you wouldn't really write your own X++ code to insert an existing event, but you might have like a custom event, and I'll cover that in a separate video. So that's really it. Again, I encourage you to leverage the existing functionality for sending out an email, and I encourage you to use an email template, because that just makes it easier to change by an end user going forward and adjust where those placeholders are, instead of hard coding or creating a separate form to specify this email message. But if you want to, you can totally send out that message yourself. It really just takes using these two classes right here. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. I really appreciate you watching. If you liked the video, click the like button. I also invite you to push the subscribe button as well. If there's other topics you would like to see a video on, please post in the comments and I'll see what I can do. I hope you learned something new today. Thank you.